Hey everybody, this is Robert with Sigma 3 Survival, and I wanted to come down here to the creek line today to do a little bit of foraging, and we're gonna whip up what I call survival stir fry. Now, what is survival stir fry? That is basically anything that you can forage off the land with your hands and a knife. So we're going to be looking for wild edibles. You know, I'm not going to be setting any traps other than if I can find like a bottle, for instance. I might make some little bottle traps for minnows and things like that. But basically, I'm just going to walk along and pick everything that I can possibly find to put together a good survival lunch here along this creek line and the surrounding area. And so we'll see what we find, and hopefully we get some good stuff and I can put together a good lunch for y'all. So just hang tight with me, and we're going to walk around and see what we can't gather up. Alright, I wanted to show y'all this. This is a little cache of ant eggs that I found. I busted this log open and they are just everywhere. And you know, larva is great protein, so you know when you run up on a spot like this, you don't want to pass it up. But if you want to also eat the ants, there's a simple little method that I've come up with, and I just call it the lick and stick. And you just lick your finger, squash them, and then eat them. And ants aren't all that bad. It really depends on what kind of ant you get. Some of them have an actual sour flavor, which is actually kind of tasty. So just remember to lick and stick, and I'm going to gather up all these little larvae, and we're going to throw this into the stir fry.
I've been walking around for about the last, I'd say, hour at least, and I've gotten pretty lucky as far as gathering is concerned. I've pretty much found everything that I was wanting to find. We've got some wonderful spiderwort here. I'm going to throw this into the stir fry. The stalks are really excellent. They've got a little bit of mucilaginous type texture to them, but they're very succulent, real tasty. Also picked some milkweed. We'll parboil that before we throw it in with the rest of the mix. I picked some wood sorrel, and this stuff has a wonderful sour flavor to it, so that'll add to the flavor. Got some curled dock, or curly dock, and that's also a pretty abundant wild edible. Got some sheep sorrel. Sheep sorrel tastes a whole lot like wood sorrel. It's got a little bit of a sour flavor to it, a little bit less pronounced. Picked some poor man's pepper to give it a little bit of seasoning and flavor. I also picked some mint, not only because it adds flavor, but because it's just so healthy for you. I found a real good garlic stalk here, and I'm going to clean that up and chop it up and throw it into the stir fry. And also found some cattails, and I'm going to chop these cattails up to about 6 to 8 inches from the bottom and throw that into the stir fry. And another thing that I got really lucky with, you know, we were talking about doing survival stir fry. Well, we got our wish. I actually found us a primitive wok. And what I mean by that is, it's our cooking implement here. Check him out. He's a feisty one too. And we're also I'm going to do a video, since I found this, on this will be another addition to preparing wild game. I'm going to show you how to clean this, and after I get him cleaned up, we're going to turn his shell into our wok and cook our edibles and stuff in here. So hang tight with me. I'm going to shoot this video on how to prepare this thing, and then we'll head back to the camp and I'll start cooking. Alright, so the first thing that we want to do with our turtle, and if you didn't see me prepare it, make sure you watch that video. You know, you get two good size, almost like frog legs, and then you get the hind exterior. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to put some water in this, and we're going to bring this to a rolling boil. so that we can obviously kill any bacteria, anything's on it like that. And then after we get it to a light boil and we know that the meat's cooked for a few minutes, then we're going to start to add our vegetables. So you want to cook your fire down to a low cooking set of coals, otherwise you're going to crack your bowl. So I'm going to pour a little bit of water in our turtle here and just fill it up as high as you can, because some of it's gonna boil off. And we're gonna let that set for a few minutes and come back. One of the reasons that we want to do it on a boil and we wouldn't want to simmer and things like that, when you boil things, you get all the broth and all the stuff. Like let's say when you cook something over a spit, well, all that fat drips off the meat, and eventually you're going to end up losing a lot of the nutrients if you don't boil your food. So we'll let that set for a minute and come back, and I'm going to start chopping up my vegetables in the meantime. We've got cattail, garlic, basically all the things I mentioned before, so just hang tight. Alright, so we've got our turtle. It's been simmering for about 20 minutes now, and I went ahead and chopped up the vegetables and added it into the broth so that it can cook down and infuse a lot of the vitamins and minerals into the broth. That's real important, because everything that the more you cook something, the more you cook out all the good stuff. So we're going to let that simmer until it becomes kind of like a stew, and probably give it 15-20 more minutes and it ought to be done. So we'll check back in a minute. Alright, here we are with the finished product. It's been simmering or lightly boiling for at least the last half hour, and we don't want the vegetables to cook down too much or they'll be mushy. So what I recommend is that when you're cooking like this, that you just eat it while it's cooking, because it can be difficult to if you don't have any modern utensils, it can be difficult to handle this stuff. So, just eat the meat while the rest of it's simmering. And believe it or not, it tastes just like chicken. It's actually really good. You don't get a whole lot of meat, but what meat you do get out of it is highly nutritious, and any kind of protein source counts in the wilderness. So, man, that's good. Y'all are missing out. Just wait till I can catch me a 50-pound loggerhead. We're really going to have some dinner, but remember not to put too much flame to the actual shell, or it'll prematurely crack and then you'll lose your dinner. And also put your fire out. Don't cook your vegetables too long, they won't be as good. Hot. That's spider wort. Very tasty. And just anytime you're out in the woods, man, keep your eye out. There's food all around you. A lot of people die of starvation every year with food all surrounding them. The only thing they're having is a lack of knowledge. So that's what we should strive to increase every day, is our knowledge of the wilderness and what's around us, and having constantly improving upon our awareness. Awareness is key in any kind of wilderness living, or just in general. Awareness is so important even in society. So many people are numbed by technology and never really open their eyes up to the world around them. So I'm going to sit here and finish my lunch and tune in for our other video on how to prepare this thing, how to gut it and clean it and all that. And stay tuned for our next set of videos. It shouldn't be too long before we've got some coming out. And really the best way to help support us is to subscribe and to tell your friends about what we're doing. I spend a lot of hours out here doing this stuff for informational purposes, because we really want to create almost kind of like an encyclopedia of, you know, survival videos for your use. So just help support us, and we thank you for any commentary that you might have.